What's up, traders? Andrew O'Connell here with Pristine Capital. Welcome to your market recap video. It is October 26th of 2022. We had another epic day of price action today, and then we got some earnings after the bell that we will talk about in detail. So box scores, S&P 500 finished down 0.75%. Our NASDAQ QQQ finished down 2.21%. Our IWM small caps were actually up 0.49%. So how bearish can this really be if the small caps are leading and they're positive while the NASDAQ is down? Dow Jones down 0.03%. The ARK Innovation ETF did finish out positive, up 0.21%. And the TLT bond ETF, another day of rallying, up 1.44%. This is exactly what we needed. Almost all the equity indices, they did close towards the low end of their day's range. The market just got very overbought. And we got, yet again, more negative catalysts. So we got Microsoft earnings that did not come out up to par. We also got Google earnings that did not come out up to par as well. Both of those stocks really got hit, and the market overall hung in there. Volatility really got crushed today. We had positive breadth, 60% advancers in the small caps, and 63% total at volume, and the trend model remains at a +3. In terms of earnings, what did we see? Well, we saw Teladoc, which is one of the bigger components in ARK, actually had a pretty good showing. They beat on their earnings and sales. We had Nvidia rallying to the upside. This may have been in response to, I believe it was like KLAC that reported strong earnings, which is another semiconductor stock. But we'll have to see if that strength holds tomorrow and really what's driving that Nvidia action. AMD, you can also see, was moving after hours. We had the double leveraged ARK Innovation ETF moving alongside of Teladoc. We had Mara, which we are currently long, which is good. And then on the loser side, we did have Wolf. And unfortunately, I was long Wolf into this earnings report. So it was definitely a mistake. I had to cut the position after the bell. And I always hate these. This has actually never happened to me before where I got, caught on an earnings lump like this. But to be honest, you should really only be holding companies into earnings if you have a nice profit cushion. I was actually, I think, down maybe 3% on my Wolf common shares into this event. So I had to cut the position like a man in the after hours. This is very frustrating. I've had a couple of nice winners in like Mara, for instance, AHR. We'll go through one of the winners in Suave today. But when you take a loss like that, that's basically like as big as one of your home run winners. It just erases a lot of your progress. So it's definitely, just a lesson learned. Again, it's like the first time that this particular mistake has ever happened to me. But yeah, I just have to cut the position and move on. VIX futures term structure actually moved out of the inverted status. So this looks a whole lot better. And lo and behold, this happens to happen as soon as those long-term bond yields actually topped out. And could this be because of a Fed pivot or pause? I think it has something to do with it. Now let's take a look at our heat map. Already touched on these, but Microsoft was down 7.72% and Google was down almost 10%, alongside Amazon, Meta, Apple. So it was actually good to see that the market was able to stand on its own 2 feet with no participation from the mega cap tech stocks. So I think it's going to be important to continue to watch the small caps. I think they can be a very good tell. In terms of sectors, we had gold miners advancing 2.95%. The solar stocks, after Enphase put up good numbers, were up 4.18%. KWeb, Chinese technology, was also up 8.46% as the dollar continues to sell off. Style factors, we had international momentum of 1.23%. And where was high beta? High beta ended up finishing down 0.27%. All right, let's take a look. In terms of trades, I did close out more of these Suave common shares. Closed out some of these for about 311, and then closed out even more of it for 319 spot 14. We had paid $274.86 for this position, down to basically like a runner size position, a quarter of it. And the reason why I sold this one off was because Suave has earnings coming up in about a week and a half. So I'm trying to take these pops in this stock as selling opportunities. And I should have applied that same logic to Wolf. I ended up closing these out after hours for $78.20. I'd paid 115 spot 27. I just wrote here, should not have held this stock into earnings with no profit cushion. So yeah, you live and you learn, have to move on. But does it sting? Absolutely. In terms of options trades, We had TLT. I actually closed out the November 4th 95 calls for $2.14. I had paid $1.34 for those. So this was one of my better trades of this sequence, where we put this one on pretty much on the day that the TLT bottoms, which is good. But the time decay is going to really pick up. It expires November 4th. So I just say, hey, let's take off that winner and book it. Okay. So what do we have here on the indices? So remember, Meta reported earnings. Meta is trading down now. Where is it? Meta's at $105 a share. So overall, the stock's had a pretty rough go of it, right? There's definitely something going on there where I think Facebook's just kind of losing some traction. And this stock really just can't catch a break. It's down at 105. Now, under normal circumstances, you might think, oh man, the market's just going to get crushed. We had bad results from pretty much all the mega cap tech so far. But the market is actually handling it very well. The S&P 500 is trading up 0.27% in the after hours right now. Today, we did trade all the way up to this monthly point of control. We did test that level, but it's basically been like a 4-day bender. I had the expectation that if sellers were going to appear, this is likely where they were going to show up. So it wasn't really too big of a surprise to see, you know, we pulled off those overbought highs and ended up auctioning lower throughout the session. Especially too when we had negative catalysts as well. Like, to me, it was a gift that the market even did as well as it did today. We also tried to close above that 50-day simple moving average. We weren't able to do it, but I also think that's fine. I mean, it takes a while for the market to traverse these levels, and there are a lot of underwater longs. So we have to realize that as we approach new swing highs, there's going to be overhead supply that comes to market. And it's not like we're just going to tear through all these levels, especially when we're really rallying on negative catalysts, not even positive catalysts. But it's good to see that we are trading a bit higher in the after hours. The dollar index, this is huge. This is very significant. And this has been the story. It's just been watch the dollar index and watch the bonds. Don't even worry about what the stocks are doing practically, because the stocks are going to follow the bonds and the dollar. We had another down day for the dollar index. This is great. Starting to roll over. The dollar's strength is really what was causing a lot of ruckus in the global FX market and the global bond market. It was pretty bad. And then we had our treasuries, which looks like they're trading up slightly in the after hours as well. Another day of basically just beautiful bounce price action, which is great. And this TLT, which we mentioned earlier, this finished out up 1.44%. And remember, this horrible downtrend, right? This thing has been smoked, but it's certainly good to see us come off of those oversold lows. Now let's take a look at our NASDAQ. The NASDAQ is under pressure. But yeah, look at this. NASDAQ is up 0.12% in the after hours. This is bonkers considering what's going on with Meta, Google, and Microsoft. Now, I think in terms of these mega cap tech stocks, I think Tesla could end up showing some leadership. I am long the ARK Innovation ETF, so I would really benefit if it does, but I think that the Twitter deal was a big negative overhang on this stock, and come Friday, that Twitter deal will hopefully be closed, and I think this one could start to move off of the bottom here. Now let's take a look. What else do we have? The ARK Innovation ETF did finish out positive. We tried to get back inside this monthly value area, and we failed. We could not do it. Again, I think these things kind of take time. Market was pretty overbought for today, and I think it's good that we're holding at the upper end of this little basing pattern that we've been in for the past couple of weeks. So yeah, if Tesla can get its footing, and then I think as well with TDOC having done so well in the after hours, yeah, I can see that the ARK Innovation ETF, it is moving higher in the after hours. Check this out. Yeah, you can see this was earlier today. We almost got up to 39.5, and now we're getting a little bit of a bounce in the after hours, which is good. So overall, in terms of the state of the market, I think conditions are certainly improving. Like you can see the VIX, again, no longer inverted futures term structure. And if we look at the VIX on the daily chart, we are moving lower. Now, I think what is happening is, I think now investors are starting to think, oh man, I'm missing out on this rally. And honestly, like if you haven't been participating, there's definitely certain things that you missed out on. Everyone's different in terms of when they jump into a rally and when they don't. But I do think if the market keeps rallying, you know, for me, if the VIX gets down to about like a 20 level, which is like down here, that's where I would probably add some hedges to my portfolio. Even if the market still looks really good, I think that would just be prudent. I think as the VIX keeps coming down, market keeps going higher, I think the risk reward is going to get a little bit more unfavorable. So that's why I did some selling today into the strength, because typically you're not rewarded for buying like day 4 overbought highs or anything like that. But I think we just have to take it one step at a time and really just assess the action. With that being said, that about does it for today's market recap video. Hope you all have an awesome rest of your evening, and we'll see you all tomorrow as always.